Welcome back. You're watching ED Insight. India made a name for itself in the global pharma industry by reverse engineering patented drugs. Now it's trying something similar in biopharma. But as with most other things, India is not a patch on China when it comes to copying things. Lakshmi Subramanian explains why.
In 2004, pharmaceutical major Cipla struck a research alliance with Bangalore-based Avesthagen. The latter would develop targeted therapies for autoimmune disorders, cardiovascular disease and cancer. And Cipla would market and distribute these biopharmaceuticals. But last year, Cipla pulled out of this arrangement alleging that Avesthagen had failed to meet targets. In June this year, Cipla announced that it was investing in two biopharma companies, Mab Pharm in Goa and Shanghai-based Biomab. Cipla hopes that these two companies will help it market a portfolio of 10 biosimilars.
Luckily for us, most of the current products which are being used in biotech are not covered under patent. So that is a major opportunity for a company like Cipla to go into this line. And very fortunately for us, we have taken the help of our Chinese partners who are way ahead of India in the whole area of biotechnology.
Little wonder then that China commands a 6% share of the global biopharma industry, or nearly $8 billion annually. In comparison, India claims a paltry 1.4%. Part of the reason for that is the fact that China got into biopharma years before India did. It also propagated the concept of sea turtles, or encouraging scientists and entrepreneurs who study abroad to return home. Many of the turtles were given government aid for R&D, and that set a strong base for China's biopharma industry.
We have about a couple of billion US dollar big market in India, and I think China would be almost 5 times of that. And they say that for every dollar that we put into investment on in this segment, China puts about 10 times. And the kind of state-supported growth which China is seeing, I mean, that's one of the reasons for the dominance within Asia as of now.
Today, China boasts of 100 biotech parks and has at least 15 large listed biotech companies. Needless to say that a big reason for this is the fact that it has a benign regulatory environment which aids copycat biologics or biosimilars.
If you look at an example of China, which is the biggest competitor for India in the biopharmaceutical manufacturing space, the hurdles over there are much less. There are many more products coming out from there, plus the contract manufacturing opportunities and the kind of work that the Chinese government is doing and encouraging this industry. The Indian government really needs to come up to that. And while they're giving a lot of sops to the pharma industry, the biopharmaceutical industry could also do with a bit of these incentives which the government can really give them.
That's the reason why many global players like Roche and Novartis have flocked to China.
We have very good support by the Shanghai government where we could place that institute because we want to be in a cluster with hospitals and academic institutions.
I have not seen any large global deal announcements on R&D in India, like you know, if you compare to China, where Novartis announced, I think, a $1 billion R&D investment in Chinese research. So these are, I mean, this is early stage. We are talking about innovation here, and so I have not yet seen those kind of deals in India. I have not seen even large licensing deals in India. I think we have some more way to go.
Indian players, though, have not lost hope. They're looking to capitalize on China's low adherence to intellectual property rights and quality standards. With at least 8 biologics going off patent over the next 3 years, they are gearing up to flood the US market with cheaper copycats.
We feel confident that Indian companies, coupled with our experience in the US and European markets and our ability to commercialize products in those markets, can handle the Chinese competition confidently. Chinese industry has been very well known in terms of making very economical and cheaper products. However, India has carved its own position around quality, about also cost.
US and Europe consume biological drugs worth over $100 billion annually, but getting into these markets is no easy job.
The investment cost to actually bring a product to market is substantial. Not only from
preparing the dossier and preparing it for regulatory approval, including the clinical trial cost, but also in terms of the new infrastructure that will have to be set up. This is fermentation-based industry. There's not a lot of fermentation, particularly FDA-approved plants that can manage fermentation in India. So that's an additional cost that will have to be incurred. I think so. There is a sizable investment that will be required to be able to access that market.
And that means that as of now, it's advantage China as far as the global biologics race is concerned.
But there is a silver lining to this story, and which is that India boasts of not just richer biodiversity but also lower costs. And that can turn the game on its head. That story is coming up after the short break. Stay with us. So that's an additional cost that will have to be incurred. I think so. There is a sizable investment that will be required to be able to access that market.
And that means that as of now, it's advantage China as far as the global biologics race is concerned.
But there is a silver lining to this story, and which is that India boasts of not just richer biodiversity but also lower costs. And that can turn the game on its head. That story is coming up after the short break. Stay with us.